Coming up on your transformation station.
You'll find a way to help them. And before you know it, you really are, not that this is a big therapy fucking Dr. Phil session here, but you'll find that you'll inadvertently.
Welcome to your transformation station. Your transformation station. We're tapping into surpassing expectations from the most successful people in the modern day and honing in on new foresight, methodologies, and clairvoyance you never knew. This is your transformation station with your host, Greg Favaza.
Now let's get into it.
You have to have a definition of success.
If I could go back, there's not many things that I would go back for, but
what do you do when you lose your purpose?
it's okay to struggle. It's okay that you're not okay.
I am your host, Greg Favaza. Together, we will go on a journey. This show is all about surpassing our internal dialogue, rediscovering your true identity, honing new foresight.
We have a chance to make the world a better place for our children.
Start living in the example today and become your future self tomorrow. If you can leave our viewers with some good advice to follow, what would you let them know?
These things that you're afraid to do, go do them.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to your transformation station with your one and only, of course, Greg Favaza. Suppose you're someone aspiring to learn how to connect to the world. How can you create a transformation in others if there's no transformation in yourself? This question is often what I think about. Your transformation station focuses on 30-day challenges, 3-hour refinement, connecting clarity, the idyllic life, interviews, investing your time. This is your transformation on how to decode ourselves through the realization of others, a transformative experience, and establish our own transformation. Now, let's get into this.
We're tapping into surpassing expectations from the most successful people in the modern day and honing in on new foresight, methodologies, and clairvoyance you never knew. This is your transformation station with your host, Greg Favaza.
I saw your TEDx. Great speech, great presentation. I mean, that's cool, work just to step up in front of a crowd like that and just go ahead and speak what's truly on your mind. And that takes grit, that takes passion in what you believe in. And that's why we have you on your transformation station, because you have a message you want to deliver.
Yeah. Doing that in front of 2,000 people was fucking terrifying. So even as an accomplished speaker, 2,000 people, and being with the TEDx, talks, you're on a 3x3 red dot.
Wow.
And I have 4 cameras on me, and I'm like a cage monkey I'm like a cage monkey on this red dot because I run around like an idiot on stage normally. So, yeah, it was an interesting experience, that's for sure.
Well, let's give a snapshot of who you are and what you're all about to our audience and our viewers. You built a personal training business that did over 1 million personal training sessions. You motivated over tens to thousands of different clients. You were featured on a TEDx that's gotten over 140,000 views and still growing to this day. What would you like to share for our audience to get this started?
Well, mate, I think you're talking about transformation. That's what I've always been about, right? So, at the end of the day, I've always been in that game. In the first 20 years of my life, I was in the personal fitness training industry. And, like you said, I started with one client and built it up to doing nearly 2 million personal training sessions over the course of 20 years with a 300-strong staff. A chain of personal training studios around Australia, tens of thousands of clients, always, I don't know, I've just got this, when it comes to transformation of people, I'm not happy just helping a handful of people, you know, like even as a speaker now, coaching one-to-many from the stage, that's all well and good, but I want to kind of change the narrative, change the conversation around certain topics. And so for the first 20 years of my life, it was in personal fitness training, growing up as a jock, as you say in America. Not that much good at anything else pretty much. So it was either going to go to the army, mate, or get into personal training, I think. That was kind of my roads. But yeah, I grew up as a surfer. I still surf every other day, surfer, swimmer, surf lifesaver or lifeguard. And that led me into doing a phys ed degree, which led me to the third year of university. I started this thing called personal training in the early 90s. When there wasn't an industry of personal trainers. I'm a little bit older, mate. So we've got. So yeah, did that for 20 years. Had my own little breakdown before breakthrough moment. I'm sure that a lot of other transformers who follow you and watch you have been through the. You know, and that's why we sort of come out the other side, right? We want to help our former self. We want to help other people or prevent other people to go through some of the stuff that we've been through. And for me, it was depression. Things got on top of me. There was some toxic people in my life. Wasn't hanging around the best people, and you know, some business things, some personal things. It got on top of me, sort of at the tail end of my personal training. You know, business career there, and that forced me to look inward, but I went down into a pretty dark place. But that's when I got into personal development and started learning about life coaching and NLP and positive psychology and a Carnegie principle and law of attraction and all these sorts of things. And I did that sort of stuff instead of going on like heavy antidepressants, like antidepressant drugs. I decided to sum up the courage and go to these, you know, just learn, trying to get to the root cause of what was going on rather than putting a Band-Aid over the top of it.
Was there any of influence that caused you to start thinking towards clarity?
100%. Yeah, it was confusion before clarity, though. You know, what do we say? There's always confusion before clarity. There's always breakdown before breakthrough. There's always a storm before the rainbow.
Wow, I like that.
And so at the end of the day, but I didn't want to go on the antidepressants, you know, like because I knew other people were just sleepwalking through their life and become a little bit too dependent on them. Yeah, for me, I wanted to get to the psychology. I'm always fascinated with psychology. So it wasn't until a friend of mine said, hey, why don't you teach this stuff? And that's when I put on my first seminar. And at the end of that first seminar, I packaged in everything that I knew. And at the end of this first seminar, someone actually called me the bucket list guy. And that was 10 years ago. So I went home and registered the domain name, the bucket list guy, and I've been doing that ever since.
So why the title, My Bucket List Blueprint? What's the concept, rather the intent using that title?
Yeah, that's the book, and that's kind of like what I did in a TED Talk as well. I introduced and unpacked this concept that I created called the My Bucket List Blueprint, and it's a 12-letter acronym, 12-step program. It's like a fucking AA, but you might need a drink at the end of it. But the point is with this whole bucket list concept, right? It's about helping people because it's founded largely on positive psychology, and positive psychology is the psychology of the science of happiness, right? So, and it's designed. Positive psych is about helping people identify what brings them more meaning, purpose, and fulfillment, and more gratitude in their life. So, I've kind of pushed these positive psychology principles out there in the world and through my trainings and my speeches and what I did in the TED Talk and all that. But I've put this brand of bucket list over the top of it just to make it more tangible for people to kind of get. And so at the end of the day, I created that My Bucket List Blueprint because to help people be happier now, you know, rather than because we live in a delayed gratification society. I'll be happy when syndrome, waiting for the perfect time or some day to come around. And meanwhile, Meanwhile, the depression, the anxiety, the suicides, the youth suicides, the overprescription of antidepressants, we've even got this thing called the loneliness epidemic now, which is the adverse effect of social media. These stats are climbing, right? So something's broken. Something's broken. Even though there's so much information about how to transform your life and there's so much stuff on the internet, so much stuff for free, yet the stats are still climbing. So something's broken. So we're trying to help people, I guess, really help my former self is give people these tools, create tools and programs, not just me, but now I've got certified bucket list coaches in 22 countries around the world, all teaching my stuff, which is really cool, out there in the world. And at the end of the day, we're trying to do our bit to maybe change the narrative around mental health and around, combating some of these stats that I've just mentioned. But my bucket list blueprint is one of those pieces of, I guess, intellectual property that I created to help people be happier now, to create this. I say a bucket list is a tangible life plan where our career plan or our business plan should fit into our life plan and not be the other way around. So it really helps a person create a tangible life plan, and it's not, a bucket list isn't just about travel, which is what a lot of people think it is, the 7 wonders of the world or whatever. But travel takes a lot of money and takes a lot of time.
Agreed.
Right? And people have to wait until they're fucking 70 to do half the shit that they want to do. Because in America, you got like 2 weeks off a year. It's crazy. In Australia, we've got 4 weeks off a year, for the average person. And it's for an employee anyway. So what this allows people to do is identify the other things around travel, not just travel, but 11 other categories for them to identify and goal set and start to build out their bucket list. No matter how small or how big these things are, it allows people to, I guess, articulate, unpack, what's in their head and brings it all to the surface and helping people. It's just helped people. I created it, tested it. It helped people. It's certainly helped me. And now we've really built some really cool programs around the whole concept. And it helps a person create a really personally meaningful and holistic bucket list. And that's what it's all about. So it's a 12-letter acronym that helps people literally extract and articulate this list.
Before we go down the 12 steps, could you give us some information and insight what you have gotten and gained from these 12 steps yourself?
Yeah, well, I'm the creator of it, so I've built it for me, basically, and then it just so happens I introduced it in some of my talks and it resonates with a lot of people. But mate, I've been literally running around the world doing my bucket list and helping others to do theirs for the last 10 years. So my bucket list has been my life. Oh, by the way, Greg, my bucket list for the last 10 years has also been a tax deduction. So my ticket to Burning Man, my Ironman triathlon that I did, my ticket to Mount Everest and all the different travel things and all the crazy things that I've done, the skydiving and bungee jumping, all that sort of stuff, it's all been a tax deduction.
That's very clever. I think
so. My accountant still to this day says, "Trav, you're not as dumb as you look, are you?" But look, at the end of the day, it has been my life. Like the cool thing about being the bucket list guy is I'm very congruent with the message. I am the message. The message is me, and it's really who I am as a person. Literally out there in the world. It's my values and me expressed out into the world. And look, mate, look at this. Look, I've even got a bucket list on the hand, so I'm all in.
He's all.
I'm fucked. I've got
God, Ted.
When you go and get, and that's not coming off either. So when you go and get your brand tattooed on your hands, that's next level.
That definitely is. I would love if you could just unpack the 12 steps for our audience, so then we can.
Yeah, cool. So it's my bucket list. So 3 words there. So I won't go down the rabbit hole too much, but people will be able to give a brief overview of this. So M stands for meet a personal hero. Y stands for your proud achievements. B, buy that special something, whether for yourself or for someone else. U, ultimate challenges, mental, physical, spiritual, whatever. C, conquer a fear. K, kind acts for others. E, express yourself. T, take lessons. L, leave a legacy. I, idiotic stuff. S, satisfy curiosity. And T is the travel adventures. I think I got all that right. Yeah.
Yes.
So when you unpack all that, which we do in our programs, it really helps a person think more expansively about their life. But the thing is too, Greg, like a lot of people don't even write down their goals, let alone their bucket list items, because of fear of failure. You know, if I write down my goals, I don't want to disappoint myself. That's why a lot of people don't even write down their goals. So I go to, like that TED talk we were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
In that TED talk, there was 2,000 people in front of me, right? And I surveyed everyone. All right, who has got a bucket list here? And 2,000 people. Yeah, some people haven't. I said, all right, well, who's got one actually written down? Probably 10% of the audience. Yeah, and half of them are like, yeah. I said, okay, those that have got their hand like that, you haven't really got one written down. You're just putting up your hand just to sort of show off, aren't you, in front of your mates? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's about 5% of you have actually done it. All right, cool, I'm still in a job. So a lot of people don't even write down their goals. And you probably know this already. If you actually just write down your goals, we've got this, call me crazy. We've got this, remember the days when we used to have these things called paper and pen? Remember, I don't know, it's so analog, it's so like 90s, but if you actually write shit down, something goes on in your head where it's a consciousness exercise, right? All right, there we go. And like there's actually studies that comparing if you write with a pen and paper versus just typing into your phone or whatever, it actually has a more of a benefit. We've got a 42% more likelihood of goals actually manifesting if you actually just write stuff down. Goals, let alone bucket list items. So, guys, you're nearly halfway there if you just write stuff down. That might be an absolute game changer for some of your watchers and listeners, mate. And so, and I want people, that's the first step, is to have a look at this blueprint, have a look at this bucket list thing and just start writing stuff down. And here's the thing, worry about the what and the why, not about the how. And that's where we overcomplicate a lot of the things that we want in life. As we think about every single step, people who want to climb Everest, do they look at every single step? They rock up to the base camp and they start walking. They don't just think through every single step. They address the step when they're there, when they're already in motion, when they've got as much gear as they can muster. But there's the fear of the unknown. There's a fair bit of risk, but they don't overcomplicate the how until they really have to. So worry about the what and the why. And if there's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of good energy, inspiration around the why, that means it's got to be, on the top of your list. And they're the things that I swear to you that it's when the why is strong enough, the how will work itself out. Right. And when the why is really strong, you become very resourceful too. it's not a matter of resources, it's a matter of resourcefulness. You know what I mean? So Greg, what are 3 things on your bucket list?
3 things on my bucket list will be to get a home for my family. I have a kid on the way.
Yeah.
And from there, a good source of income. But I want to travel. I want to be able to go places. I grew up under a rock where my family never went and took trips anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
With the military. So I want to be able to go out and do that.
This is where you drop in Australia. Australia's on your bucket list.
So you're saying I can come by your place? I got a spot.
You can come by it. I don't know if I'll let you in, but you can come by it.
I want to caveat on what you said as far as writing things down, how your brain is aware of it. You have to write it down on a brand new notebook. If you take some scratch paper, your brain recognizes that and you write that down, you're going to throw it away later. So you want to make sure you get a brand new notebook that's specific for the taskings that you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big advocate for that. And I've sort of been doing it all my life, you know, the reason why I was called the bucket list guy is because I've had a list to do before I die, literally written down since I was 18, right? And the interesting thing about that is, like, when I did that first seminar 10 years ago, and I'm 47 now, that 10 years ago, in that first seminar, I shared the fact that I had a list to do before I die, actually written down. 40 people in that first seminar had no idea that I had this list written down. And wherever I went in university or wherever I moved around, I had my little blue folder with my little scrappy piece of paper and my list. And then it was during the seminar, I started sharing the fact that I had one of these lists. And I said to the group, 40 people, you know, who else has got one of these lists actually written down? And I quickly realised I was the only freak in the room. And I said, well, why the fuck do you get up every day? Why do you want to earn money? Because it's not, you know, our businesses, our jobs, our careers should do 2 things. It should produce 2 things. That vehicle should produce 2 things, and that is cash flow and also time flow. But people actually think that's the end goal. It's not, because if you don't have any reason for going after the money, trying to leverage and create more freedom or more time, then it's a hopeless pursuit, right? So double bonus though, if you love what you do and it's hitting your values in terms of which is your internal rule book, and you love what you do, you're of service to your community, you're of service to people around you, I think that's the holy grail. You're getting the time flow, the cash flow, and it's hitting your values. I think that's the holy grail. I can hand on heart say I've got that completely nailed. But I can guarantee that they're not fired up, they're not inspired, which is pretty sad. You know, you can go through your whole life, work 40 years like that, and like my dad, and then get to the end of it and just, you know, the fire's not lit anymore. People are dying at 40 and being buried at 80.
That's interesting how you put that.
And if you really let that sink in, we all know people that are living by default rather than by design. They're just existing, they're not living. Mate, and that's why the antidepressants, the alcohol usage, drug usage, etc., is people are just sleepwalking through their life. They're waiting till someday or the perfect time to come around, or wait until I'm retired or whatever to go and live their life. It's like, fuck, dude, you know, like I'm into delayed gratification, but I'm also into instant gratification now because and that's why I wrote this this book, and I did the TED talk and the My Bucket List Blueprint, all that sort of stuff, is to help people be happier now.
Are you writing a second book for those that have accomplished the 12 steps? Do you have any?
Yes. Yeah.
Could you share?
Yeah. There's, mate, this book, mind you, has been in the been in the making for about 10 years. So this is a big bucket list item, and it should be out in like a week. just before Christmas and stuff. So we're planning to go to Amazon bestseller and all that sort of thing. My publishers are pretty fired up about it, and I'm just like, just get it done. Just get it done. But no, I've got a truckload of books in me, the big play for me, mate, is to help people. Hopefully change the narrative for people. And I've got 10 years of doing this. Just being. I mentor a lot of other speakers and a lot of other thought leaders, and I've always said, pick a highway, then pick a lane, then own the lane. And so, because we get, as an entrepreneur, as you know, you can go sort of all over the place and bright, shiny object syndrome and, oh, that's cool, I'll do a bit of this, I'll do a bit of that. So I've been banging this bucket list drum for 10 years and it's just deliberately kept the blinkers on. It's like, this is what I do, an inch wide, a mile deep, rather than an inch deep and a mile wide. And there's just been too much evidence of people changing their lives around me for me not to stay the path and to now produce more and more books. Mate, I can go and talk, right? And I've had people who are on suicide watch, then get off suicide watch and then go live their life. And they're a father of like 3 kids. And it's when you hear shit like this and people coming off medication, I'm not saying I'm a guru, just maybe right place, right time. But when you get the testimonials back of like, thanks, you've changed my life, and and they were too shy to even talk to me at the end of a presentation, and they were literally on suicide watch. I've tried to kill myself a couple of times, over the last 6 months. Like, fuck. And when you hear shit like this, and then you get, and this is what, this is the shit that really gets me going, and then you get a selfie of them and their family at Disney World, and then over in Italy, and going, thanks to you, I put this on my bucket list. I always wanted to come to Italy with the family. I always wanted to go to Disney World with the family, and here I am now. Oh, my God, I can't believe I was going to kill myself before I saw your presentation. And I'm just like, I've got hundreds of those, I'd hate to say, over the last 10 years. And that's enough reason for me to not, that's enough reason for me not to just go all in.
That is very well said. That is amazing. The feeling that you get from those messages.
Yeah, well, that was the impetus for why we created Bucket List Coach is like, well, I can only help so many people in my lifetime, so I've got to get, create a framework, create a structure for other people to teach this shit. So we license out Bucket List Coaches now. We've got certified Bucket List Coaches in 22 countries around the world, and we're growing. And they're now helping people in their parts of the world. We even got Bucket List Coaches in places where if you translate the word bucket list, it makes no fucking sense at all. But it's like they still get it, though. They still get it. And they get the life philosophy, and they get these positive psychology principles. And we only do group coaching programs. We don't do individual, because we want to affect the lives of 10 million people. That's my legacy. In the My Bucket List Blueprint, this is my legacy. One of the legacies that I want to do.
I really like that, Trav. I know your time is short, so if we can just wrap things up, if we can just get just a recommendation on some good advice to follow and some bad advice to avoid, what would you recommend the audience?
Jeez. I think the best advice is listen to your guts a lot more. Listen to your gut instinct a lot more, your intuition a lot more. But I will say this: your crowd, you're all about transformation. Here's what I want to say: that if you've been through some shit in your life and you've had a breakdown before breakthrough moment, you've had that transformation in yourself, and this is for you too, Greg, and you've come out the other side, and you obviously you've gone through some transformation, and you're doing this podcast as a result. You know, like I'm gonna say this, and it might come across quite harsh, but how if anyone's been through a transformation and come out the positive, come out the other side, and they're positive, and they can reflect back on those on that transformation and on the psychological ups and downs of that transformation, and you know there's a whole bunch of learnings in that breakdown before breakthrough kind of moment. We've all had them.
Yes.
I'm going to say this. How dare you live your life and not pay those learnings forward? How dare you die with those learnings within you, and how dare you not get them out there into the world and go help other people with those learnings? Package up those learnings, put them in a podcast, put them in a book, put them in a speech, put them in a blog, YouTube channel, whatever the fuck, it does not matter. The point being, you need to get those learnings and package them up and offer them to other people who are fucking hurting, other people who need to hear that. I know that when I go out and talk and I mention depression and all these other things that I've been through, I'm literally saving lives with the stuff that I inherently take for granted now. All right. So whatever you've been through, you need to pay these messages forward, because you're inadvertently coaching your former self, even though you are coaching other people through that expertise that you've developed. All right. But there's so many people, nearly every person has been through some shit. Mm-hmm. But there's only a chosen few that have decided to, you know what, I'm going to do something with these transformation lessons, and I'm going to pay that forward, so, and there's too many people hurting out there right now. There's a whole flock of people that need to hear what you take for granted now that you've come through whatever you've come through.
Wow. That's
true, isn't it?
Yes. That is, I can't.
It's it. It's like, so get good at speaking, get good at writing, but don't be a perfectionist, be a progressionist around it. That's what that, and fuck it, just go and mentor someone, go and get, go and just help someone that you recognise, and you'll be able to recognise those people that are going through the same shit that you've been through. Go help them. And if you get that imposter syndrome, this is what the internal dialogue, who do you think you are to stand on stage, or who do you think you are to go lead these kind of people? Who do you think you are to be the coach or the author of a book? Who do you think you are? We've all got that imposter syndrome, mm-hmm. right? And that's our reptilian brain. It's inbuilt into human beings to keep us safe, so we keep fucking reproducing and keep mankind going. That's the reptilian brain keeping us safe. All right?
Agreed.
So let's assume that's always going to be there your whole life. It will be, and it is. All right? Even as confident, and I get up on stages, I don't give a shit. No, there's still a little bit of me like, you reckon, Trav? Do you think so? That's always there. But a coach said this to me once, Greg. He said, I said, well, like I've got this negative self-talk, like this imposter syndrome. What do I do? The best thing you can do is just start helping one person. Go out and help 2 people, 3 people, 4, whatever it is. Don't try and be Tony Robbins and get a stadium full of fucking people right out of the blocks, all right? Just go help some people, okay? Go help some people, and before you know, if you get the real results and really look after them, however you do, all right, bonus that you get paid, but go help them. And what you'll see is that testimonial, that positive reinforcement, that positive feedback from all those people that'll be so noisy that you can't ignore it. And before you know it, it's so noisy that it quietens the noise in your head. No truer word has been spoken. So if you're in a place where you're like, oh, I really want to do something, fucking just start helping people. You'll find a way to help them. And before you know it, you really are, not that this is a big therapy fucking Dr. Phil session here, but you'll find that you'll inadvertently be coaching yourself. It's therapy to a certain extent. It's extremely cathartic.
Trav, how can our listeners get in touch with you if they want to know more?
Go to thebucketlistguy.com. That is where I hang out. And if people want to, suss out how to become a bucket list coach, go to bucketlistcoach.com. Maybe go to bucketlistcoach.com/webinars. And we run weekly webinars. That's what I'm about to jump onto now, is running our weekly webinar of a bit of a show and tell about how Bucket List Coach works. But probably on Instagram, bucketlistguy.travbell. And that's where I hang out the most. But here's here's a challenge for you, mate, Greg, and your listeners and watchers. Go watch my TED Talk, right, called Life's Too Short by Trav Bell. Just YouTube it. Go on, or by the time this comes out, the book will probably be out. Go and buy the book. Go through the My Bucket List blueprint. Do it. Write down your bucket list. And Greg, you're going to send me your bucket list.
Okay.
Trav at thebucketlistguy.com.
I will do that for you.
I challenge you. I dare you to do it.
Challenge accepted.
Boom.
Alrighty. Thank you, Trav. I really do appreciate your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you
take
guys enjoyed today's episode. Subscribe if you have not already done so, but leave us a review. Let us know how we can continue to improve your transformation station. I appreciate every one of you for tuning in, and I look forward to the next episode on your transformation station.
You've been listening to Your Transformation Station, rediscovering your true identity and purpose on this planet. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we hope you've gotten some useful and practical information. Join us weekly on Wednesday for the exclusive interviews at 8 p.m. Central Time. In the meantime, connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at YTS The Podcast. We'll be back soon. Until then, this is Your Transformation Station, signing off.